Okay, let's get into it. I
All
am
right.
Pat. This is my partner Pete. We are Pat and Pete, and this is Those Muckrakers.
Rick and Mock making people angry. We just recorded like 10 minutes of a podcast and realized that only one side was recording.
No, we're not going to call any names here because we wouldn't want to embarrass Peter. But
Oh no, we're muckrakers. It was totally due to your incompetence. You can't yell witch hunt.
fake news. Okay, it was fake news. This is a witch hunt. There were no two-sided conversations. It was only one-sided. The Russians. Okay, I mean, did I say the Russians? I meant Russian dressing. Look, Peter, the only Russian going on here is me rushing to make America great again. Okay.
Walda's been randomly texting me this. Walda Patrick Thrift has been randomly texting me every day this week in all caps, just the words witch hunt.
Witch hunt.
Because
That's actually a presidential quote now. Can you believe that? And so is do something. Like that is our president. That's what we have to work with.
I wish Americans had less of an appetite for like, I guess just media, because I feel like it's so fun. Like, while we're paralyzed with this idiot in the White House, like the rest of the world is burning. Like literally, lots of it is on fire. And
Well, I've been like drowning in the U.S. media, which is just like going through the same cycles and taking forever. And especially this last week when there was no one big story, it was just like a bunch of little things. Peter's gone outside of the American news cycle to see what's happening with the rest of the world, and it's not good. Okay, folks?
yeah, it's really bad. So in environmental news, we're dumping. I think it's the equivalent of a garbage truck of plastic into the ocean every minute. So that's happening every time a minute goes by. So by the time we're done with this podcast, 60 garbage trucks of plastic will be in the ocean. We're not dealing with that. The big thing I wanted to talk about is how Syria is screwed right now, and the Rohingya in Myanmar are dying, and no one's doing anything.
Yep. That is a problem.
I want to go through the notes real quick about the Rohingya. Because I've been listening to, the only one that's reporting on it was NPR. If you don't know, hold on.
It's so dire that the police are on their way right now.
Yeah, I'll pause for sirens, because of course the police feel the need to drive by my house. This is what happens when we live in Brooklyn. This is why I'm leaving.
They park right outside your window and just blare the sirens. We're not going anywhere. We just wanted to test it out. Can you hear it now? Good.
So the Rohingya are an ethnic Muslim group who live in Myanmar, who's mostly Buddhist. There are about 1 million of them living there, right? But they have been denied citizenship since 1982, since before I was born. I did a little bit of research. So the Rohingya came to Myanmar during the British rule in like the 1800s to the end of World War II as migrant laborers. They came from Bangladesh and India. But the problem is that they were viewed negatively by people that were there, and then I guess when the British left, they were like, right there then, goodbye. And they were never considered citizens, and now they're being basically ethnically cleansed because they're not considered citizens, and they've never been given birth certificates, even though they've been there literally my entire life. So they've gone over they go over the border, they're sent back, and no one's doing anything about it.
Every time the British decolonize, I always like to picture them going, I'm the doctor! And then they get in their TARDIS and whoosh out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty accurate. They go, oh man, so how this place is a mess? Later. And then they leave.
Yep.
That's what they do. So, just like Rwanda and these other places that experience ethnic cleansing, and then everybody in history goes, "Why do we do something?" Well, this is why.
The Tutsis and the Hutus was a really bad case of that, where the British moved in and they're like, you people, you have lighter skin, so you are superior to these people, and then they divided them up, had one side completely dominate the other side, and then they're like, well, we're good with this then, and then they all left, and then now the ones with the darker skin are just hunting down and murdering the ones with the lighter skin that had oppressed them and murdered them just a few years before. And now it's you might want to get them to stop, because it's not really the same people that were the ones that were colonized back then aren't even alive anymore. It's like their descendants are still doing it, but like the Hatfields and McCoys, just the feud keeps going on from generation to generation,
Yeah, you know, it's
and
a
it's the British people's fault.
cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy.
Little
Yeah,
boy blue and the man on the moon.
I want to kill just like you, Dad. I want to kill just like you. Yeah, it's really annoying because we have the ability to just kind of like drive in there and go, all right, everybody, put your weapons down. Next person who fires a gun gets shot in the face. We're gonna settle this. Like, nope, we're busy dealing with trying to indict our president or yell about Hillary or deny that there's a gun violence problem in the United States.
Right. Okay, so maybe he keeps screaming "witch hunt" whenever it's oh, none of this got recorded. He keeps yelling "witch hunt," but it's a witch hunt that's caught an awful lot of witches, right?
Yeah,
Like there's been 5 guilty pleas and a lot more than that indictments, and one of the only Americans, because there's been 13 Russians indicted, one of the only Americans that have been indicted that has not pled out is Manafort, and his trial is now set for September.
why do
So
you
we're
think?
actually starting to look at a timeline form up in front of
Why
us.
do you think
For
Manafort didn't plead out?
was he stupid? Like he's really, really not smart.
Yeah,
That's basically it. He's holding on to hope that the president will pardon him or something like that, just like the president did with George Arpaio. And I mean, I'm sure that's what the
did
president's waiting to
he?
do with
Did
everyone.
he pardon Arpaio?
Yeah,
God Almighty, I missed that one. I hate.
you missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I.
like he was convicted. Like he was gonna the guy that's been like kidnapping and torturing people for a long time was convicted. He was guilty. He was gonna do major jail time, and the president just pardoned him.
There's very few people I hate more than Joe Arpaio. He was the sheriff of a town in what, Arizona?
I don't remember.
Somewhere in like Arizona, and he just like. I remember when I first heard about it when I was a kid because I grew up in a very conservative household, and there was like a story they were applauding him because he made inmates live in tents and like wear like pink outfits and like everyone's like, yeah, because we shouldn't mollycoddle our inmates. We shouldn't. They should not want prison should be unpleasant. And it turned out like it was violating people's constitutional rights, and it cost the taxpayers a lot more money to run a prison like that.
Yeah. Also, a lot of the people weren't actually guilty of anything. It was profiling that put them in prison. So
Yeah, and
we're
so
just torturing random citizens.
and he started like the Obama birther movement. Like he was a big thing of that. He's like he's a cartoon sheriff, like a cartoon. Anytime you watch like a really badly made movie about like racism, and you're like, real racists aren't like that. Joe Arpaio is.
Yep. He's the type that's so outlandishly wickedly racist that it's hard to believe. He's the type of villain that would jump up on the top of his truck and go "Wahahaha."
Well, like he's how I know that like there's no if there is a God, he's not rewarding and like punishing people by ending their lives or making their life based on merit. Because that guy has none. Like we talked about the merit-based immigration system, he would be one of the people that I would love to see him pass an American citizenship test. Because I don't think he could.
I don't think so either.
He clearly has no understanding of the Constitution.
Or human decency.
Yeah, so the Rohingya. The idea that I wanted to bring up was like, so these people are dying, and we're cutting back on immigration, because immigrants are the boogeyman. And I looked up there's a list of places where they will pay you in the United States to live. Yeah, they. I had.
What's this now? There's places in the U.S. they'll pay you to live.
Yeah, because they've.
Why aren't we living there right now?
Because most of them have like what do you call it? Most of them have like reasons things you have to do to live there. So like Curtis, Nebraska, right? They want you to live there. If you build a house there, they'll give you the land for free.
I have to build a house then. That's not free.
Marne, Iowa, just 45 minutes from Omaha. All you have to do is build a house, so they want you to move there and build a house. Like they want people there, right? There's a whole bunch. Baltimore apparently wants people to live there.
Now I know that from the Simpsons movie that if you move to Alaska they'll give you $2,000. But my source is the Simpsons movie, so I'm not sure how accurate that is.
My point is though, if we have people that are trying to get over here that are facing persecution, and have so much space, and these places like, we need people to live here. We should.
America has tons of space. Like, Jesus.
So
This is, if you look at like a population map of the U.S., everyone's along the east and west coast, and the entire middle of the U.S. is just empty.
yeah, the point
Like,
is,
there's no one there in the middle.
why don't you make immigration easier? All you have to do is move to this place and, like, complete your citizenship tests, be gainfully employed and all this in X number of years.
But I mean, out in that place is where Trump voters are. That's where they're actually afraid that immigrants are going to move to.
Which is why
So,
they need exposure to immigrants.
I mean, that would help, but it would also, on the other hand, be funny watching them actually watch immigrants move into their town. People that they've never seen before.
You know why I'm not scared of Muslims?
Huh.
Because
Because you live around them all the time?
because I know Muslim people, and they're fine people.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with them. You know why I don't like racist?
I've had Muslim neighbors for the last 10 years, probably.
You know why I don't like racist and
Yeah, it's
Nazis?
been that long.
Because I know them, and they are crappy people.
Yeah, we both grew up in the South, so we are, but we can talk about
Did
Hope
you just get
Hicks,
caught by a
and it's
windstorm?
okay for us to say the word, huh?
Oh, sorry. It sounded like you got caught by a windstorm. You just, like, went out for a second.
You just went out for a second. You're all gargly.
Oh.
Anyway, I was going to say that's why it's okay for us to talk about Hope Hicks, because we can say the H word.
Oh my God, she's gone.
Yep.
His best friend is gone. So what job did she have in the Trump administration? She was his mouthpiece. What did she do?
This is where doing research before the shows would come in handy. But I know that she was very important. That's all I gathered was like, this is someone that he is legitimately hurting for having lost.
I
right?
know she was in charge of bringing him the good news and only the good news.
No, that wasn't that someone else? Like, that guy left months ago.
No, she was his, like, closest and longest serving, like, confidant. And she was
Really?
she was like petting his head and telling him it was going to be okay.
I thought that's what Bannon did.
No. Bannon thought that, like, and here's the thing, because this is going to get me into the crux of my problem. Bannon thought Trump was an actual, like, I guess, Nazi or nativist or whatever Bannon is, and he was like, finally, I have my platform. He messed up the same way that everybody else has messed up. They think Trump's on their side. They don't realize he just wants to be liked.
Yeah, he holds whatever position he most recently heard. Like, that's why you can sit in there and he'll agree to everything with immigration and say that he would agree to all that reform that the Democrats want, and then as soon as he leaves the room, that guy that looks like a snake will talk to him, and he'll be like, well, okay, actually get rid of all the immigrants.
Yeah.
And just recently, he's even suggested getting rid of people's guns. Like, he was on the Democrat side
with guns!
So that was funny.
They were super amazed. Like, I don't understand why they're confused. I'm like, you elected a guy who was for the longest time a New York Democrat, and then at one point he said if he ever...
He's a liberal billionaire from New York. What did you think you were going to get?
He said at one point if he ran, he would run as Republican because they're the stupidest voters. And then you've seen him time and time again, just like... And here's the thing, and this is the only way I feel a little bit bad for him. He's so dumb, he doesn't understand why people don't like him. Like, when the shooting happened, he was like, we're going to give guns to teachers, because in his mind, he was like, if we give guns to teachers, they can protect the students, right? And he's like, this
By
is
the
a
way,
good idea.
this week, another school shooting. This time it was a teacher doing
Oh
the
my
shooting.
God, I love this guy. This was hilarious. I'll tell you the story about it in just a second. So,
Right.
so he goes, all right, we'll give guns to teachers. And everybody's got mad at him. And he goes, they're mad. Okay, let's take away all the guns, and then we'll do the due process thing second. And then people got mad at him for that, and he doesn't understand why he can't win.
That reminds me of Krang and Kodos from The Simpsons. Okay, no abortions for anyone. Boo. Abortions for everyone. Boo. And they're just like scratching their heads and looking at each other. They can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's the way his brain works. His brain looks like those two aliens from The Simpsons that can't figure out humans.
All right, abortions for some, small American flags for others. Yay!
So as if on cue, in our home state of Georgia, a teacher, I believe it was in Dalton, Georgia, which is a little bit north of Atlanta. The story was, and I'm a teacher, so I know how this feels. He's in his room, his classroom, during his planning period, his time of peace. Students keep trying to come in his room, so he locks the door, and he's probably like, go away! And the kids are doing their thing. Anyway, He's locked the door. He's trying to enjoy a moment's peace, probably trying to eat some friggin' food or figure out where his life went wrong, like we all do in our planning periods. And the principal, I guess, comes up to unlock his door because I guess kids are like, he won't let us in, and the principal was going to let him in. And then the guy took a gun and fired it out the window, and everybody ran away. Nobody was hurt. It was just a teacher with a gun, and that was my whole thing when they were like, "We're going to give teachers guns." I'm like, clearly,
they are very stressed people. We probably shouldn't.
I'm not. Yeah, I said clearly you don't remember teachers from your high school. Clearly, you've never had to be around like 180 something kids a day.
Well, the people that recommend that are people like Trump that went to boarding schools and places where the students were a lot more behaved. So the teachers were different when he was coming up and where he went to school, because they were actually paid decent salaries, I'd imagine, right? If it's privatized schools.
Probably. I mean, money. The key to education. Everybody talks about education reform and fixing this and that. We try this, and we're gonna get these kids' test scores up. You know what the number one factor is in like fixing the educational system?
Throwing money at it.
Throwing money at it. The more money you throw at a child's education, the better he does. The more resources he has, the more time people spend with him educating him, the better he does. Look at Alexander the Great. Tons of money, one teacher, conquered most of the known world.
Yeah. And so all we need is private tutors for all of our kids, and they can all be as great as Alexander.
Yep, if we could all get them it wasn't Plato, it was an Aristotle. If we can get every kid their own Aristotle, their own old scholar that will be like, Andrew, come here, I want to tell you about the mysteries of life. Like, then every kid, you'd see our scores just shoot up.
Yeah. Speaking of Alexander...
no pun, I just realized, no pun intended, our scores would shoot up. I cracked myself up.
Yeah. Speaking of Alexander, Alexander Hamilton, Weird Al just released the Hamilton Polka today. So, hell yeah.
I saw that, I still haven't listened to regular Hamilton yet.
Oh, it's really good. You need to hear... It's like the whole thing's been pirated to YouTube, so just like bring it up and listen to all the songs in order.
I saw a meme today, so the school shooting happened in Florida. We talked about that last time. And so the kids are really...
That's 2 times.
Yeah, the kids are still really organizing, and some of the pushback has been, oh, they're kids. They don't know. I don't know. Do you know who Jack Kingston is?
Nope.
He was our congressional representative in Georgia for a long time. He came on, and he didn't used to be crazy. This is what this political climate has done. It's taken, like, people that were kind of normal. Like, my family knew Jack Kingston. My uncle was in politics, and he knew Jack Kingston, seemed like another guy. He comes on, and he goes, well, I think it's just George Soros is just ready to just, use these kids to push an agenda. And, how are kids going to organize an album? And a protest.
As every comedian's pointed out, organizing groups is what high schoolers are best at. But also, anytime this is like a rule of thumb here, anytime you hear someone mention Soros, they're probably a Nazi. They're probably an anti-Semite, because what they're really saying is, it's the Jews. The Jews are doing it.
Yeah.
Because, that's their dog whistle for, you gotta blame all the Jews. Be careful, they're sneaky and they control the media. Woo!
There was a great meme I saw that I disagree with. And it had a bunch of pictures of the founding fathers, and it was like, how old they were in like 1776, and it was like 20, 21, 22, 32, like a bunch of like really young, 18, like a bunch of young.
Yeah, Alexander Hamilton was 14 when he was put in charge of trade and charter.
And so they were like, huh, kids can't make decisions. And I looked at that and I went, yeah, they all agreed to own people. Clearly they can't make the best decisions. Yeah, they can organize, but they do need somebody kind of keeping an eye on the wheel.
It's not like their parents aren't helping them out some, but this isn't a liberal conspiracy. That's just them trying to dismiss the victims, because that's like their Achilles heel, is they've always said it's disrespectful to the victims to talk about.
And now the victims are like,
and now the victims are the ones that are talking about it. So they're like, it's not really them. It's the Jews. The Jews are making them talk about it.
Well, it is a liberal conspiracy in that these kids are conspiring to not get shot inside their own schools.
Yep. That liberal education convincing them that getting shot's a bad thing.
That's a crazy
thing. Don't you know that we have to spill our blood across the steps of the U.S. to appease our old god? There's a
spelled
NRA.
There's a pushback against education. I heard it from a friend of mine who I think she was
Of
raised.
course, because the more you know, the more likely you are to be liberal. Ergo, all education's liberal. If you don't know anything, then you're a conservative,
Yeah.
magically, statistically.
Isn't that weird how knowledge, and that's the thing, she was raised in one of those very focus on the family, like, households, very Christian-y. And her
Yep.
family, she got into, like, is Vanderbilt an Ivy League college?
Let's say yes.
We'll say
I
yes.
don't know.
Either way, Vanderbilt's a really good school. She got into Vanderbilt, and her family was like, I don't want you to go because I don't want it to interfere with your personal relationship with the Lord. And she's like, are you high? It's Vanderbilt. Like,
Yep.
they would rather her stay home barefoot and pregnant than go to college and get some knowledge. Like, Jesus. I don't know, man. If books turn you away from your belief system, maybe your belief system doesn't deserve to exist.
Yeah. But it's nothing you can do about it, folks. Nothing you can do.
I swear to God, I hate it every time you say that. Like, I don't know why. It irritates
Because
me.
it's a Trump quote.
It irritates me whenever you just like they're not our best and brightest. I'm like, will you shut up with that? I hate that stuff. I hate the
That's
world we
also
live.
a Trump quote.
I know it's a Trump quote. I hate the world we live in right now. Like, there's still like anytime someone brings up Hillary, I'm like, God, I hope your house burns down. Like anytime there's an argument about the
Peter,
merits. Of,
think about it. Her emails, okay? Her emails. Think about it. Her
anytime
emails.
there's an argument about something and someone goes Hillary or they go both sides, I just go, God, I hope your house burns down. I hope everything that you own is destroyed by water
It
and
is
smoke
absolutely
damage.
not both sides. That is such a catastrophically monumental false equivalency.
Well, they're so convinced that there are only two sides. They start calling me a liberal snowflake and talking about.
There's that too. There's more than just two sides.
They talk about Hillary and then the other, and I was like, did you ever stop and ask me what my beliefs or my political leanings were?
Let's see. So people, because the emails were her mishandling top secret information or something like that. Even though she did not mishandle top secret information, it was classified after it had been forwarded to other people, so it was not classified when she did it. And then also they marked it in the wrong place. But all that's beside the point. I won't get back into all that.
Yeah, you're still doing
is that Kushner just recently lost his top secret clearance because he's been compromised by four different foreign entities.
Listen, I don't mean to cast aspersions on Mexico, but Mexico was like, hey, I think we can influence this Kushner fellow. Like,
Yeah.
You're getting muscled by Mexico. No offense to Mexico, just they haven't been a player on the world stage since we beat them and took Texas and most of the Southeast.
So
or the Southwest.
Trump's rampant nepotism has proved that he is very bad at handling top secret information, and now everyone knows all of America's secrets. Good job for electing someone like this.
But I hate it when anybody tries to go in and defend the Hillary thing because, more importantly than that, it doesn't matter. Like that. That's
that too. She already lost a long time ago. She's nobody.
I swear to God, I'm gonna look up.
Also, whenever people say, it was him or it was her, no, it wasn't. There were 17 candidates on the Republican field. You could have picked someone besides Trump.
Yeah, it was her or him or him or him or him or him. Anybody else. It's like when the genie in Aladdin tells you where you can get off the carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get off here, or here. Like I tell you, my strategy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look up some old scandal, like the bimetallism debate from like the 1870s, or like a scandal during the Rutherford B. Hayes presidency. And anytime someone's like, "Well, Hillary," and I'll be like, "Well, Rutherford B. Hayes," and when they'll be like,
"Yeah,
what?
that's just as relevant."
And when they go, "What the hell does that have to do?" I'll just keep explaining it.
Rutherford B. Hayes.
Yeah.
And then that's when the constable of the town of Blacksmith said,
"Yeah,
huh?
I'm just gonna bring up some old shit," because that's what they're doing. Like every time they bring up some old shit, who cares? Who gives a flying fart? I'm more worried about right now. Okay, you know what? What we need
right now, our White House is spinning wildly out of control. We need to remove this guy and put in literally anyone else except for what's his name? Ted Cruz. Anyone but Ted Cruz. I'd still rather have Trump as president than have Ted Cruz as president.
I saw a thing.
Just putting that out there.
That's because Ted Cruz is while Trump is chaotic evil, Actually, I don't even know if Trump is chaotic evil. I think he's chaotic neutral.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think as far as D&D alignments go, Ted Cruz would be he would wait.
Ted Cruz would be smarmy evil.
So yeah, he would be smarmy evil. Trump is just chaotic neutral because he doesn't care about anything. He's just all over the place.
Trump's more like chaotic stupid.
Yeah,
so he just sort of does whatever, and he doesn't really know what he's doing.
He's like a retarded tornado. You know, you know how you're able to kind of track the path of a tornado? He's just going here and there and disappearing and reappearing. Everyone's like, I don't know what's happening. Well,
he's like, fake news, okay, fake weather, not happening.
That's like, why did you trust a tornado? You know, electing Trump is the same reason that we stopped using gas attacks in warfare, because you'd release the gas and go, ha-ha, oh no, it's coming back.
Yeah, the wind shifts and suddenly your own battalion gets wiped out.
Yeah,
that was a bad idea.
Trump's the equivalent of a mustard gas attack. I'm like, I don't understand. Why is he hurting our own side? Because you're an idiot, that's why. You're an idiot.
Yeah, but Peter, Buttery Mells, okay? Buttery Mells.
You elected the Joker from Batman after a botched lobotomy. I'm not a guy with a plan. I'm just saying stuff to make people like me.
I'm gonna cook you up like a grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh my God!
It's been too long since I've done my Joker impression.
It is true, because you sounded like a Dragon Ball Z character.
I'm better at Nixon. I would no sooner hurt you than I would hurt my dog, Checkers. Shut up, damn it!
I miss Nixon, because I feel like Nixon had some kind of conscience.
Yeah, because he stepped down whenever, it was clear that he was badly hurting America. He was like, well, this isn't going anywhere.
He's like, I'm in trouble. But like, Nixon was also like a really smart guy. Like, say what you will about him, like, at least he had intelligence. But that's what people are so confused. Like, the NRA like pooped its collective pants whenever Trump was like, I don't know, maybe we should take guns away from crazy people and then figure the law out later. And I understand why he said that. If you're a very dumb person, and people are just like, I just imagine in his world that everybody is shouting at him and he doesn't understand why.
Yep.
And he's just like, I don't know, okay, so we don't give teachers guns, we take guns away from crazy people, and then everyone's shouting at him more.
Basically, Trump is like a dog that walked into a house, pissed on the carpet, and everyone is shouting. And he was happy a second ago. There was food. He smelled bacon. There's his favorite person right over there, and he's like, yip, yip, yip. And
Hold
then
on.
He takes a piss.
You got to step it back. He's like a dog that walked into a room, took a poop on the carpet. Everyone started yelling. Then he started eating the poop. Then they started yelling at him more. Then he threw up the poop he ate. Then more people began yelling. Then he ate the poop, threw up.
Ugh.
Yep.
And he doesn't understand why everyone's yelling at him.
He's like, you got mad when I pooped, so I ate it. So you got mad when I ate it, so I threw it up. And you got mad at me for throwing up, so I ate it again. What do you want from me?
And then he starts wiping his butt around on the carpet in a circle.
Yeah, we want you to go away. That's what we want.
But this dog that I just described also leads the planet Earth.
Yep.
So
Yep. He leads there. You know, I saw there was a meme from the Canadians. They were like, we kind of feel like this is the fall of the American Empire, eh? We don't understand why you wouldn't control your guns and give yourself free healthcare. We're just standing back watching. And I'm like, fuck you! If we go down, you're going with us. You realize that you are connected to us, right?
Yeah.
The only
Drag
reason
them into the ocean, kicking and screaming along with us.
The only reason you exist is because we decided it would be easier to take land from Mexico, and we made it too expensive for the British to stay. Canadians.
Well.
Oh, we're looking at you, just thinking, what's going to happen with those crazy... It would be like if you're watching your neighbor's house burn down, but it shares a common attic with your own. Oh, we're just watching the neighbor's house burn, eh?
It's quite the blazing fire you got there, eh?
Yeah, it's connected.
What are you gonna do whenever it just? I mean, I figured you would just have like the bucket brigade go and put it out, but you're all like that socialism, so.
Yeah, why don't you maybe I don't know, help? I don't know what you could do to help, but sitting back and sneering at us is not going to be a good thing. Cause guess where we're all running whenever things go bad. Yeah, that's right. Say hello to your new American immigrants. You can't stop us all.
That's why in South Park, Canada built a wall so that Americans couldn't flee up there.
Oh, come on. Canada couldn't build a wall.
I know.
I mean, unless, we built it for them with labor from Mexico.
which Mexico paid for.
Yeah, I hope Mexico will pay
Yeah,
really well.
that's funny how. By the way, update on DACA yet again is it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's like, yeah, no, fuck off. And so, yeah, DACA gets to keep staying, and the ruling of two different judges that it gets to stay stands, at least for now.
Okay, so like I didn't feel that bad for the DACA kids. I mean, I did, but at the same time, it's like, look, you're here, you can blend in, just go run and hide. Just go somewhere, hang out for like the next 4 to 8 years. This will all blow over. We'll fix it. Just don't sign.
Maybe, but that upends their entire life, and if they have like careers and retirement plans and all that other stuff like sort of laid out, they have to upend all of that to go hide somewhere.
Oh no, I know, but it's better than the people
Not
that are.
everyone's as much of a free spirit as you are.
It's better than the people that are not here that are just like like they're running from one murder to another. Just going, they burned my house. They burned my other house.
If those people can get to America, they'd be better off than the Dreamers, because the Dreamers actually signed up and let the government know where they were.
And this
but
is
they
what
did that under Obama whenever they were safe. But now Trump gets all of Obama's documents, and he's like, okay, now I know where the Mexicans are. Time to get rid of them.
This is. I think you're
But
getting.
he was trying to hold it hostage. The point I was getting to is he's trying to hold them hostage so that he could have his wall paid for. But wasn't Mexico supposed to pay for it, Mr. Negotiator?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Art of the deal. Yeah, so like that's happening. Like Syria is in trouble. Well, they've been in trouble forever because while the Russians are just like helping the Assad regime just bomb the crap out of the rebels. Syria is in rubble, and we're like we're not doing anything. Nobody's doing it. Even people that aren't us are just like they're not doing anything. Well, I don't understand the UN. What do they do? Just have brunch all day?
They are the unmade, the Nazis.
The UN made some, what do you call it? They took some photos of Syria to show the damage, and they were like, as you can see, they're very good photos. And I'm like, is that all you got?
By the by, the UN really doesn't do anything. Like, they've never done anything. That's why I didn't care that much that Trump was pulling us out of, defunding the UN. What was he doing with that again? It's been so long.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know what the UN does.
That was mostly just one of those things that was all like, God damn it, he's embarrassing us in front of the entire rest of the planet. So now, like, since he represents us, he is who I am to the rest of the world. And I'm like, God damn it, I don't want him to be my avatar.
Yeah.
That is,
it's like
just a derpy little guy that runs around going, okay, Bigly, okay. And my God, since we were last here, he said that he would have run into the building with the shooter in Florida with or without a gun, so I guess he'd be using karate and handled the situation. And the biggest outrage to that is that the only guy at that one world convention that had to take a golf cart to get up a grassy hill is saying that he could run? He can't run, he can barely crawl.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think if there was a shooter in a school massacring people and Trump drove through with his golf cart, I think it would stop or at least momentarily pause the shooter because he'd be like, did the president just drive by on a fucking golf cart? Did I just... Hold on, I gotta go check this out. What's happening? So, I mean, in that respect, yeah, they would have been just...
Maybe, yeah. That could actually have worked.
But I mean, like, why are people surprised at that? He's a liar and he fantasized. And, like, that's what makes me mad. Stop being surprised!
Yeah. I mean, you were saying that the other day that's the thing is that the Republicans are every bit the same people that are saying that these kids can't talk because they're just kids, so they don't know anything about guns or nuanced problems, also seem to have no concept of nuanced problems, and they see the world as an action movie, and that's why they think a good guy with a gun is the answer to all of our problems.
Yeah. Like,
they seem to be the ones incapable of understanding nuanced problems, but the thing is that, okay, Trump is incapable of it, but a lot of the people saying that, they're perfectly capable of it. Their problem that they're trying to solve is how to keep getting NRA money, and by doing that, they have to get everyone else to shut up about guns.
And
that's making the NRA upset.
Have we always been this unable to understand nuanced problems? Like, there's such a wave of anti-intellectualism, and it's always existed in the United States, but it seems like it took forefront after Obama became president.
It's because it's profitable to keep people stupid. So there's a lot of people trying really, really hard to keep as many people as possible stupid.
Well, not just
And
that.
it's been going on for a long time, and it's really been chipping away at the American consciousness.
Not just that, but like it's an identity, and we talk about this where it's an easy sell to sell people on. The solution to this is real easy because if you have to think about anything and go, well, if you look at all the ins and outs, that may not be a good idea. It's just a lot easier to think that Clint Eastwood will come in and just be like, yeah, well, go ahead, punk, and that'll fix it.
Yep.
It's difficult for people to think that like, oh man, maybe the criminal justice system is flawed and that jail's not a picnic and it's not doing anything to reform these people. It's just making them worse.
Yeah. We need to actually get prisons to be what they were meant to be, which is a place for reform. You're not just throwing people away there like they're human trash and
I
forgetting
disagree.
about them. They really are meant to be a place to reform people to get them back into society.
I disagree.
You don't think they should be?
No. I don't think we ever, as a nation, really decided on what we wanted prison to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem, is we don't have, like, half the people say reform and the other half of people go, make it worse so it's a deterrent.
Well, deterrents don't actually deter anyone because we've had the death penalty for a long time and that doesn't stop murderers. But at the same time, I feel like I'm one of those people that say, well, you can't outlaw guns because then only guns will have outlaws. But
only guns will have outlaws. Hi, I'm a shotgun and this is my outlaw.
He starts firing cowboy hats out of the outlaw. But,
bend over, Bill. We got a problem to solve.
I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, you're talking about the idea that if we outlaw guns, only guns will have outlaws.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the point though. I don't know. You talk. I lost my train of thought.
No, just the thing about prison reform is that I don't think we ever decided as a country. It's kind of like our infrastructure. We kind of built it and then it just expanded over time, and then we've never really looked at it collectively. It's the same with the school system. It was started at a certain point and we've never really changed it or tried to make it better. We've just kind of built on and fiddle with this and fiddle with that. Like, that's why we're still on there was a whole thing I watched during part of my degree where we were learning about where the education system started and how everything, like, why are kids in the same grade? Because they're the same age. I don't mean that rhetorically. I mean, like, can you come up with a reason why?
Because we're just trying to, like, push them all out of there before they get so old that it's kind of weird and creepy.
Well, we were running it on the factory system, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is you should not advance until you have mastered the skills to a reasonable level. So it doesn't matter if you're 17 or 18. Like, you should be in a class with people who are in a similar, like, skill level. Like, that's one of the ideas. But, like, it's based on, like, an old sort of Enlightenment era factory system, and we just haven't changed it.
Yeah, and I mean, because kids can be held back, we sort of have it to where you have to master this, so we could have someone who is getting on up there in years and they're still at a very low grade. But at the same time, because that's so embarrassing for the child, most of the time we just try to push them on ahead anyway, and we just keep lowering the standards until everyone can make it over the hurdle.
Well, education should be individualized to a much more degree than it is. That's the problem.
Yeah, like, I have an idea. Take away the grading system and just have, there's certain things you have to know at, like, beginner, journeyman, and master level of, say, math, English, logic, research, all these different subjects, right?
Yeah.
Including subjects that we don't have right now. And just everyone has to master everything from one, then they can move on to the next thing. And if they do this very early on, then they get to leave early.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just leave school early. They can completely graduate by 10, or they can be there till they're 25 or something. Maybe we should have a cutoff eventually, or not. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's
potential problems is if your kid's super smart, and so whenever they're like 8, they finish school, and now you're suddenly having to hire a babysitter every day as a parent.
Yeah, but school shouldn't be about babysitting. Like that, if that kid's mastered the skills, and he should move on more to. But everything should be, like, less factory oriented and more like your sentencing for
and
prison.
I would I would love for every child to have their own individual tutor, like Alexander. Let's say Hamilton. I want to say
You
Hamilton,
mean
like
Alexander the?
Alexander the Great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alexander the Great.
did.
Yeah, but that's the
I'd love.
thing. Like,
I would love for that to be the case, but again, that would you'd have to throw a lot of money at it for that to happen.
and we
Right
should.
now, we're already cramming like 50, 60, 70 kids into one classroom.
Well, it's not that many.
Saying,
It's,
Peter,
I
you
mean,
deal with it.
well, I mean, like in you know, where I teach, there's about, I think, 35 is the max. Still a lot of kids for one room. The honestly, like, the number should be nearly half that to get a, you know, maybe cap it at like 20. You know, 20 is a good number. 20, 25, like, that's a decent max number, because you probably won't get all 25 kids in a class, because there's always some kids that move or skip. But like, that's a good number. And like, throw more teachers in the classroom. You know,
Good.
like, there's so many more resources we should be throwing at kids. But the same with the prison. Like, why is your sentencing just time? Why is your sentence not individualized to your crime?
There is that too, and what I was talking about earlier is I was discussing one issue, then I got off on a different point, which was that they're saying it needs to be a deterrent to keep people from committing crimes to make it bad enough that no one wants to go to prison. It shouldn't just be like 3 hots and a cot and all the cable channels you could ever
I'm
want.
gonna tell you
at the
a
same time, that's still pretty miserable for anyone.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a secret about prison. You ready?
Yes.
No one wants to go to prison.
I know. Except for Morgan. Was it Morgan Freeman in that one movie or someone else?
Dude.
The one that hung himself because he couldn't get back in?
Oh, no, that was what do you call it? It was a Shawshank Redemption. It wasn't Morgan Freeman. It was Brooks. And he hung himself because he had been sent to prison for so long, it ruined him, and he couldn't exist in the outside world. So that story was about how prison broke him. He didn't originally want to go to prison. But it's just this dumb understanding of just like, these prisoners have it so good. I hear these dumb arguments all the time.
Well, yeah, that's the same way they talk about, these welfare queens, or they have refrigerators for their food. You know that? Some of them even have AC. Oh, they're on the taxpayer dime, and they're living it up. Welfare queens.
Yeah, what am I working for? Because that's not what it's like. And if you honestly thought it was like that, then you would quit your job and go be a welfare queen. But you know that's not true. It's just, that goes all the way back to that whole idea about dog whistle politics, about you can now talk about things and other racists will understand it, but your speech isn't actually racist because you're saying things like welfare queen or...
But I can translate for you if you'd like. What they're actually saying is, why can't we starve all the black people to death?
Yeah, no, I know what it means. Like, I am well aware of what they're talking about. They just, it's become an ingrained thing. So like, and I don't know, maybe that's part of the problem of being politically correct now, is like, it would be a better world if you just said what you meant and then got slapped in the face for it.
Yeah, but instead they create this reality that doesn't exist, which does get more people on board. Because if a bunch of people are working really hard and they don't understand that it's a dog whistle, and they start hearing about welfare queens, they're like, well, that ain't right. We need to do something about that. I'll vote against that.
When I was a valet back when I was like 23 or 24, I worked with a bunch of young 18-year-old guys. This was back in Georgia, and one of them started going off about welfare queens, and I stopped him and I go, hey, how many welfare queens do you actually know? None, but have you ever met a welfare queen? Have you ever seen any of these persons that will know? But then I was like, then what proof do you have that this in any way exists if you've never seen this as a thing? And he kind of was like, oh, I mean, he's on my Facebook. He's still a racist piece of crap. But he was just like repeating something his daddy had told him.
Yeah, that's a thing that people do. And they say it like they know so much about a thing when it's just like a thing they've heard, or even sometimes they just thought of. It's like, well, I had this idea and I'm super convinced of it, and I'm going to yell real loud if you try to say I'm wrong.
There was a guy the other day, a friend of mine from Georgia, that his credit information had been stolen by one of those card readers when he was at a gas station.
Yeah.
And he just goes, man, where's Frank Castle at times like these? We need a Punisher, Frank Castle, the famous comic book man who shot criminals to death.
Yeah, I was about to say, so someone's just going to run along with like a card reader, and because he blooped your card, the Punisher's going to show up and shoot the guy's brains out?
I think so. I think that's what he's arguing at. I'm like, I understand you're frustrated, but that's a terrible idea, because if the law, we've talked about this before, if the law is no longer a thing that we all respect, it's like the yellow lines on the road. then if we don't agree that you should stay in that lane, then it's anarchy because civilization is a thin veneer that we all agree on.
Because the deplorables will scream that blue lives matter until they're red in the face, until it's something like their guns are at stake because of another school shooting, and then they're like, well, the blue lives, they actually are the ones that failed. Their fault. They failed.
I guess blue lives really do matter because all those blue lives, sure enough, didn't go into that school to help nobody.
Also, look at how this current president's constantly attacking the FBI, throwing our entire legal system into question, just because he's a criminal and the hammer's coming down on him.
I don't know if he realizes. I don't know if he realizes he's a criminal or not.
He probably doesn't. I want to say,
and
it's probably based on the principle of just someone always likes to assume the best about themselves, and they always will excuse whatever they did, but he does it on a whole nother level because he's a whole other level of dumb.
Well, I think it just comes down to, I don't think he has that level of self-awareness or understanding of the law.
It's because he's been the boss, the king of his castle, and everyone around him for 30, 40 years now, ever since his dad died, right? He has had to answer to nobody, and if you spend 30 years without one person ever telling you you're wrong, then what are you going to be thinking at the end of those 30 years?
I know I spend most of my time...
That you're always right. That you're always right. You'll assume that.
I know
that's where he is right now.
I spend most of my time with people at work telling me I'm wrong, and it has done wonders for my
self-esteem.
Yeah, my self-esteem.
Well, I still haven't gotten to the point I was making about the prison system, which is they want it to be really bad so it's a deterrent, but that doesn't actually deter anyone because it's been around all this time and we still have criminals. But whenever I say that, it also makes me think, well, that maybe that's like the whole if you take guns away from criminals, then only criminals will have guns argument. It's just not true. Things would be a whole lot worse if there wasn't a... But anyway.
I think...
But point being is that... jail's already really, really bad, and it doesn't actually deter anyone. So maybe we should make it better. That way it doesn't just create more hardened criminals, but rather it can rehabilitate people and get them back out into society in a functional way.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe we should try a completely different philosophy. Let's take a jail, right? Let's find the jail that's got the most people. It's the most violent, right? And let's build another jail right next to it. So we have our control group, Jail A, which is terrible, and then we build a brand new jail, Jail B, and Jail B is super nice. People are treated nicely. We use restorative justice where we teach them how they can make amends for their crime. They're given education, you know what I mean? They're treated very, very well, and then we put them back on the streets, and we follow their lives and see what happens.
Yeah. And about the overcrowded jail in our control group, that happens all the time because a lot of prisons are for profit these days. And whenever you're a business, what do you want? You want to be firing on all cylinders. There was a bunch by the way, is an expression that our president said that he made up. But yeah, firing on all cylinders. In other words, you want to be at maximum capacity all the time to squeeze every penny out of the business you're doing. That's why we have to...
There was pushback on for-profit jails, so not all jails are for-profit. There's a lot of federal prisons that there's a big push back and forth, and I think you're gonna for-profit prisons are not gonna survive because they even have...
I hope not, because that is horrible.
Well, even
like I was saying, businesses want to...
Yeah.
They have to stay at capacity, or else it's a poor business. They are ruining their own shareholders' wealth whenever
even prison guard unions were against that because it was hurting prison guards. So when a prison guard union is against a type of jail, it's not good for that jail. But it needs to be completely reformed. Prison needs to be a place where you're not going to get a penis in the butt. You're going to get classes.
That's actually very rare, by the way. Everyone talks about it happening, but apparently it's extremely rare that it does.
You getting a penis?
Just fun fact.
Getting a penis in the butt in prison?
Yeah, prison rape's actually more rare than you would think.
Yeah, well, all right. So, I mean,
it certainly happens, and we certainly want to make sure that it's a thing that doesn't, but...
Yeah,
That was more a fun fact than a counter-argument.
I took the prison guard test once years ago, and I passed with flying colors, and let me tell you...
Nice.
It was a real easy test. It was they gave you math problems. They were you move 2 prisoners from cell A to cell B. How many prisoners are there in cell A? And I'm like, is this a trick question?
0? How
Yeah.
many were in it to begin with?
Yeah, no,
If
I
it's
mean,
just two,
no,
then
they weren't.
zero.
They weren't trick questions. Just want to make sure you could count basic numbers.
Uh, 5? That is correct.
Yeah, because they needed prison guards so bad. What deterred me from that job, though, is I was working at the movie store, and some prison guards came in to rent videos. Because the town we lived in, the major place you could work was at a prison. That's where you made your money. They came in, so I stopped. I asked them. I said, "Hey, I just took the test. I'm probably going to end up working at Georgia State Prison if I take the job." And she goes, "Well, I'll go and tell you. I got my eye blacked. I've been stabbed. I've been spit on. I've had shit thrown on me. I've had ribs broken. Just naming all this stuff." And I went, "Thank you." And then I did not go work at a prison.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even sure how much I agreed that people should be in prison anyway. And I was a young, sweet piece at 18 years old. And I was like, this is not the place for me.
And also, I kind of remember you talking about that. You're telling me that you didn't think it was a good idea because if someone like said, "Yeah, I'm like, it really sucks being in here. Could you let us out?" You would be like, it'd be very hard for you to not let them out.
Yeah,
so
man.
You're thinking it'd probably be a bad idea for me to go work there.
I was like at 18. How am I going to guard like a 50-year-old man who's like, "Listen here, I've been in for 20 years. What do you say you just leave that door unlocked?" Like, what are the chances of me going? Nah, I mean, like I said, I didn't agree with prison that much to begin with, so I was like, this is not a place for me. I'm gonna end up in here instead of guarding here. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the podcast.
Oh, what we forgot last week was our conspiracy theory of the week. We totally sailed over that.
Yeah, I almost give up on that because now Alex Jones is attacking the survivors and now saying that they are bullying him.
Oh yeah. By the way, listeners, Alex Jones, after spending years saying that Sandy Hook was faked and it was just actors and no one actually died there, is now saying that the people from the Florida shooting are bullying him, and he's begging them to make amends with him because now his YouTube channel is getting suspended or something.
Yeah, it's got like one or two strikes against it. Third strike, he's gone from YouTube.
Yeah, so I mean, his business is in jeopardy because he's an asshole and he deserves it. And he's saying that they're the ones bullying him, and it's like, what? Come on.
Did you hear that? There's a whole thing about him going super anti-Semitic, and I can't remember the name of the guy now, but there's a clip I just watched where he put up a picture of this guy and he goes, "You are the enemy," and he just started screaming, "Enemy, enemy! I will resist you!" I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, what is he giving like a pro wrestling promo? I don't know what's, I guess, a very anti-Semitic pro wrestling promo, like.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So are we not going to do any more conspiracy theories?
I'm just out of we were going to try to become the left-wing Alex Jones, and I'm like, I just don't have it in me. That level of insanity I haven't reached yet.
We can still try, but it's not like I had a hashtag ready to go.
Yeah, it's alright.
Well, we had Pizzagate, so how about Potato Gate? The Republicans are trying to hide in our potatoes now. Hashtag Potato Gate.
I think we're trying too hard, man. I think we just need to rest it for a while and then maybe come back.
Yeah. Okay. The conspiracy theory of the week will be back whenever we come up with a better one.
Yeah, we'll bring that segment back when we have one, because fact is indeed stranger than fiction.
Wakanda forever.